Hey, what's happening guys? Welcome to your 20th Vue JS tutorial, and in this video I want to show you how to create some Component CSS. Okay then, so far we've created this root component right here. We've also nested this ninjas component in it, which is this thing right here. Now, so far we've looked at the template, and we've also looked at this object in the script tag as well to control the functionality of the component, but we've not looked at any kind of styles, and we've got this style tag down here to do that. So styles work pretty much as you'd expect them to work in Vue JS. If we want to style something up, we just place a selector for it inside this style tag. So for example, if we want to style this H1, we can just come down here and say H1 and give this a style, let's say color purple. And if we save this now and check it out in a browser, then this should work. There we go, color purple. Awesome. So what if we then want to also style something in this other component, this ninjas component, which is nested inside the root one? Well, imagine we had a H1 in this component as well. So let's come down here and give this a H1 tag, and we'll say list of ninjas. Okay, now before I do anything else, I just want to save this as is and show you something. So I'm going to save this and try and view this in a browser. Now we don't see that title. Why not? Well, if I inspect this and go to the console, we're going to see an error, and that error is going to say basically that we need one root component, or one root element rather. You can see right here, component template should contain exactly one root element. So Vue JS is looking at this and having a bit of a paddy because it's got two root elements right here, a H1 and a UL, and a component needs just one root element. So what we need to do is enclose this in a div tag like so. So we'll copy that and paste it at the bottom, and then this should work. So if we get rid of this console now, we see list of ninjas, and if I refresh, then we're no longer going to get that error in the console. Let's just check it out. Cool, so no error. Alright then, so now we have our two H1s, but check this out. This is also purple, even though in this component we've not declared that style. So what's happening is it's picking up this style right here that we added to the root component. So why is that? Well, if we inspect this, all we're going to see is a style tag added to the document. So when we added the style to the root component, this style tag right here was added in, and it styles all the H1s on the page. So it's not targeting a specific H1. We're not saying only target this H1 in this component. It's targeting every H1 on the page. So what if we want this H1 here to be a different color? Well, you might think, okay, well, we'll just go into this component right here, this ninjas.component, and we'll say H1, and in here we want this H1 to have a color of green. So if we save this now, well, yeah, we get green here, but we also get green here, even though in this root component we've said we want that H1 to be purple. So what the hell is going on? Well, again, let's just inspect these elements, and let's have a look at the style tags at the top. So like I say, all those style tags in the component do is output a style tag to the document. So we've got one for the root component, and then one for this component right here for the ninjas. So if we open this up, we see H1 color purple, and if we open this one up, we see H1 color green. So again, we're not being specific in what H1 we want to style, we're just saying any H1. So this rule right here is overriding this rule right here because it's below it in the document. Therefore, it's coloring every H1, not just this one, green. Okay, so what if we want these styles to be component specific? Well, we can do that really easily. All we need to do is come to the style tag right here, and if we say, okay, we want this H1 color purple just to apply to this component right here, all we need to do is say scoped on the style tag, and that is going to scope this style right here just to this component. So if we press save now and also do the same thing for this, let's say scoped and save that, come over here, we're going to need to refresh to see this take effect. So if we refresh, we can see now that's purple, but I want to show you how this is working. So I'm going to inspect this element, and now you can see this H1 right here has this weird attribute, data-v this number, right? So the same goes for this H1. This also has a unique attribute, and notice it's data-v, but this time a different number. Okay, So Vue JS is now using these attributes here to style these different elements. So if we look in the style tags, now we can see the H1 is looking for a H1 with that data attribute. This is just a normal CSS selector. We can do this to look for attributes, and it's looking for that attribute and saying any H1 with this attribute color purple. So that's what the scoping is doing, and the same goes for this. We've got a different attribute for this one, so it's just looking for those H1s in that component. So when we scope styles, basically what happens is in that component, Vue JS gives them all this unique identifier, this unique attribute, and they're all the same for that individual component. And different components have different attributes. So then we can use those attributes to style those elements differently from the other components, and they're not getting in each other's way. Okay? So that's how we use styles in Vue JS.